Danny K. I don't think they're ready, you know, fam.
I'm feeling loose, true same when I'm in the mood. I'll be sipping on gin and juice. I'm so calm and I'm ducking.
Right, hello and welcome to another Let's Talk. I'm joined today by Danny K, who's going to tell us all about himself. Hi Danny, how are you doing?
Good mate, how are you?
I'm not too bad, thanks. So do you want to give us a brief insight into who you are, what you do and where you're from?
Yeah, so I'm Danny. I'm originally from Leeds, but I moved to Lincoln about 4 years ago. Started studying here at uni, doing media production, and then I've slowly gone on to both help build a company called Firmative with one of my friends. So he kind of approached me when he was starting his own startup, basically doing film production, like music videos, event videos, all sorts of different things. And yeah, I kind of got involved with that, and that's what I've been doing for the past 3 years while I've been at uni. And I graduated this year, so now it's kind of my full-time job. So I'm technically head of creative, which basically means I'm in charge of everything to do videos, photography, graphic design, web design, that sort of stuff. And yeah, that's kind of what I'm doing now. So yeah.
What was the first project you really did that made you come into this sort of pathway? Was it like a wedding or one of the events, or did you just do some personal stuff for yourself?
So when I first started in Lincoln, well, before I even came to uni, to be fair, I was doing like event photography in Leeds. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of how I got into doing my passion, which is like film photography. That's how I changed it from a passion to actually working and making money from it.
Yeah.
So I was doing event photography for nightclubs in Leeds, and then I slowly transitioned into doing more event video stuff when I came to Lincoln, because basically Dummy, who's the guy that owns Firmative, the company I work for now, he also owns an events company in Lincoln. So I got involved with the events first before I actually got involved with the media side of it. Mm. So then I kind of started doing videos and doing sort of like animations and social media stuff for the events that we were all running in Lincoln for like student nights and stuff.
Yeah.
And then I slowly took that and sort of started applying it to more jobs in the media industry, especially like within music. And then sort of that's how I kind of progressed from doing event-based stuff to now doing kind of events and music and a lot more cool stuff like that.
What would you say is then the best project you managed to work on with everything you've done?
I suppose it's tough because each project kind of has its benefits and its downfalls, but then there's definitely some standout projects. Most notably, I think that one of the first lyric videos that I did, which is sort of like an animation style music video. Yeah. I did that for a guy called Sam Bird, who used to be on Love Island. I think that was my sort of first big project for a client that was sort of bigger than just Lincoln. Yeah. And then at the same time, we were also sort of in talks with labels like Warner Music and Atlantic Records, who where we pretty much work with them 24/7 now, which is awesome. So I think definitely the Sam Bird project is what kind of got me sort of my foot into not foot in the door essentially, but it's like sort of after I kind of finished that project, I was like, this is what I want to do, and this is kind of what I want to go into. So doing more like videos for clients like that, especially because music's such a big passion of mine. I kind of want to make all of my media stuff like surrounded in the music industry somehow. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of how Firmative has that's the direction we've taken with it. So we struggle to work with, not struggle, but we don't really work with many corporate clients and many big sort of companies that aren't music related, because we kind of do want to stay very niche. Yeah. We do have odd jobs come in that are more corporate and not music related. We're cool, we can do them, but we kind of our main company focus is
to get the music industry.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. And I think once we sort of got a foot in the door with Atlantic Records and we started working within the music industry more like cemented like we are now, I think another big project that I really enjoyed was working on Joel Corey's lyric videos.
Right, yeah.
So obviously when Atlantic Records want to release a track, they'll have obviously like the track itself, the music video to go with it, but then sometimes they'll also want a lyric video, which is sort of just like an animated music video with the lyrics in it. So they can upload it to YouTube, kind of get the lyrics of the track in people's heads. Like they also use it for places like gyms. So like if you're working out, they'll play those videos in gyms so that it's not taking your eyes off doing your workout and you still listen to the music, but it's still there, so you know the lyrics and it kind of gets it in your head. So, but yeah, I think definitely like those style videos have definitely been my favourite so far.
How do you then do, like, what software do you use for the lyric videos and stuff, and how does it sort of come out? Because it's quite animated, because I've seen a few of them.
Yeah.
So how do you get them sort of ideas, and this is how I'm going to animate this line or this verse?
We've recently done a project with Nathan Dorr and KSI. Which is actually, to be fair, thinking about it, that's actually now my favourite one. So I created that album artwork for that, so then that kind of gave me more flexibility with the lyric video, because they kind of just went, okay, here's the track, we trust you, make something really cool for the album artwork. We actually took pictures at one of the music video shoots, so even the pictures were ours for the album artwork. Yeah. So it kind of gave us a bit of creative leeway to come up with something from scratch, and then use that for all the promotional material for that track. So when it came to the lyric video, it was kind of like, well, you guys have made the album cover, you know what you do with the lyric video. And that's kind of better for me as a creative, because you kind of go, well, I can be as creative as I want. I don't have to stick to sort of like a set amount of bullet points, like I want this, I want this, I want this, I want this, which is cool if the client does give you it, but it's nice if they go, you know what, we trust you, make something like dope, like make something really cool. But I think that's definitely the part about I enjoy most, is coming up with that initial idea and just being creative with it. And I think they appreciate that a lot more than sort of going, okay, tell us everything that you need. Because if I went to them and said, can you give me the style, the font, the colour, how do you want the animations, and make it so it's all them, it kind of takes away from you being creative, and you kind of have to stick to that then. Okay, then you come up with a video and you're kind of like, I like it, I don't like.
So how long do you think the whole process of that takes, whether it be the video side or the video side?
See, even thinking about it now, it's really difficult, because some have taken me a couple of days, some have taken me a couple of weeks. Roughly about a week is like a good time scale to work to if I don't have too many other projects on at the same time.
Is that for like an average like 3-4 minute long?
Yeah, like 3-4 minute long. Yeah.
So you do DJing as well. Did you start the DJing, of course, sort of before all this, when you, of course, helped out with the clubs or that, or is this sort of came from watching these videos and filming them?
It started quite a while ago, to be fair. I've always been interested in music, and I've always kind of had that very musical side to me. I mean, in high school, I used to do drum lessons. I was quite into like indie music and stuff like that. And then when I got to college, didn't really have the time and not the passion as much for like drumming anymore. I still used to listen to that kind of music. And then as I sort of progressed from college to uni, it was quite a big change for me as well, because I kind of came out of my shell a lot more, and I think I changed quite a lot in me as a person. I started like listening to more music, I started meeting different people, I started sort of putting myself out of my comfort zone to see what I actually liked, rather than just being like, I'm like this is how I am. I got to uni and I was kind of like, okay, let's just try everything and see what fits with me. And I think that's where the events side of what I've done has helped me a lot, because obviously being in promotion at the events, especially with students, you have to be quite outgoing. And I was never really outgoing in high school and college at all. I was kind of the opposite of that. I kind of just kept to myself. But I think since then that's kind of brought my confidence up. And then obviously doing the events that we've done, they're all very hip hop based and rap music based, and we've done a couple of house events as well. So that's kind of got me into those music genres at uni, and that's kind of all I listen to now. Like, I do like all sorts of music. I will go back and listen to sort of indie tracks every now and again, and like listen to different styles of music. But I think I've swapped now. I'm kind of in that hip hop house side of things, and I think it fits in quite well, because a lot of the artists that we do work with, especially with Atlantic Records, are up and coming, you know, either commercial house or sort of pop or hip hop artists that are in the charts now. So it kind of gels in the fact that I'm listening and sort of DJing to the music that I'm also doing at work. And I think the DJing part of it came in probably at the start of uni. I bought myself some, like a little crappy little tiny set of decks just before I came to uni when I was in college, just messing around and seeing what I could do. At that time I was listening to EDM and Don Diablo and stuff like that, which I've not listened to for years. So I started on that, and then I went to my first, I think it was my first Don Diablo concert in Leeds, and I think that's what was like, this is sick. I want to be that guy. I want to be on the decks, and I want to be able to mix music like that. And I kind of progressed from there really. Then started to DJ in my bedroom at uni, DJing like house parties and flat parties and stuff, and just messing around really. And then obviously then I got the opportunity to meet DJs and speak to a lot of DJs in the events industry when I was working in it, while also being a student. And then one of my best mates now still, Patrick, he was our main hip hop DJ for a lot of our events in Lincoln. And he sort of taught me and got me into DJing hip hop, which is a lot different to DJing EDM and house and that sort of thing, 'cause you have to, it's just a completely different style of music. So I'd say now, I'm not an amazing DJ, and I'm definitely not a very good house DJ, but I'd like to think I'm progressing my hip hop DJing skills, my scratching and that sort of thing. And I think it was only about a year and a half, 2 years ago, where I started actually trying to like test out what I was doing in my bedroom in the bars and the venues and the clubs. And it's quite good because we're still, obviously, with COVID being a thing, we haven't really run any events recently, but at the start of this year and at the end of last year especially, because we were running student events that were hip hop based, I had the opportunities to go and DJ in these little places that we were running events and test things out and just get that confidence to be able to do it in front of someone, especially instead of just doing it in like a flat with your friends. So it's kind of annoying that COVID has now put a block on that, because I was kind of getting to the level where I feel confident enough to do a full night by myself. And then COVID hit, and now I've not really had that practice. It's kind of like I have to sort of not relearn, but sort of go back and kind of get that confidence back to do it. Still been teaching myself in my room and, you know, practicing at home, but it's very different DJing to yourself and what you like to listen to in a venue full of, especially young students that sometimes will go, this sounds crap, and like, play something else. And you have to be strong enough to take that criticism. You might like a song, you might play it, they might hate it. You're like, okay, let's play something else then.
Have you ever came across one of those situations?
Oh yeah, there's a lot. It just kind of comes with the job. I mean, you could pick any famous DJ in the world and they'll come across it on a daily basis. Like, if you play to drunk young people, it only takes one person to go, I hate this song. And then someone will go, oh, I don't like this song either. But you need to play to the majority, not to this one individual person that maybe doesn't like one of the tracks that you've selected. And you can't satisfy it, especially being a DJ, you can't satisfy everyone in the venue at the same time. Like, that's the aim, but there's always going to be a couple of people there that are not going to like certain types of music, or they might not have known it was a hip hop night, even though you're DJing hip hop music, and they might come up to you and go, can you play, I don't know, Dancing Queen by ABBA? And you're like, oh, really, it's not that kind of night. And yeah, I'm trying to think of, there's one specific time where there was like a Sunday night that we run called Switch Up, and it starts very, very old school hip hop, and very sort of like, you know, like Biggie, Tupac. That's how I used to kind of start my sets. And there was like there was a group of like loads of young girls that came in, like 18, 19 years old, and because they didn't know it and they didn't know what the night was and they'd never been before, they were just sort of like, play Ariana Grande, play this, play that, and it's just like, I would love to play to what you like, but that's not what, like the event, and that's not what I'm here to play, and I'm not that sort of DJ. So you do get some of those groups and some of those sort of people that will come in expecting something that you're not doing. It's kind of like you have to just be nice. So you might play one track that they want and then quickly switch out of it and go to something else. But yeah, it's very hard to satisfy that many people in one place, and I think that's the most difficult part, getting your music right for who you're playing to, especially the night that you've been booked to play as well.
Yeah, do you have all of the songs sort of on a playlist that you know you're going to play, or is it sort of you have an idea of course, the genre, but then you sort of mix it up and pick what you feel all through that night? So,
I suppose what you want to do, I mean, this is my way of DJing, I don't know if every DJ does this, I know quite a lot of them do, so you'll have, say, like a bit of a set list of what kind of tracks you want to play and what styles of music you want to play throughout the night, so you'll sort of go, okay, from 10 till 11 I'm going to play tracks out of this set, so you might pick, say, 30 to 50 old school hip hop tracks that you know you want to play within an hour, but you won't necessarily go by order and just play it as a playlist. You might go, okay, I'm feeling this track, I'm feeling this. So you might only end up playing 10, 20 of those.
Yeah.
But it's nice to have that big selection. It's always good to pre-prepare your sets and have things ready to test out to the crowd and stuff. But I think one of the most important things that I think a lot of younger and newer DJs sort of fall into the trap of, and I definitely have, and I still do sometimes, is the fact that you'll have certain tracks and certain genres of music so you want to play at certain times of the night, but then you'll go there and say, oh, I've been here an hour, it's not really got busy enough to play what I want to play yet because it's a bit too like upbeat. So then you have to kind of just go, right, what do I play now? And it's that quick thinking of knowing what to play to what you're basically looking at in front of you, which is really, really difficult to do because you don't want to, if you just create a playlist and just go one by one, 9 times out of 10 it's not going to work because it's not going to go how you expected it to go. There might be a group of people that you might be playing to people that don't necessarily like the tracks that you've selected, so you have to kind of mix it up a little bit. So it's always good to have like an idea of what you want to play, and you might have like little routines where you know, oh, if I mix this track, I know that I'm going to mix that and that and that, and have like say like 4 or 5 songs that you know that you're going to play after each other. And each DJ will sort of like, if you watch people like Jeff and Jeff or big DJs of that name, they'll have certain routines that they'll play out and certain like creative things that they do with certain tracks that they'll always want to include in their sets. So you will have like elements of your set that are planned and that you want to do, but then you'll also have most of your set that you're basically just playing to the crowd and what the vibe is really. And eventually it does start to come naturally, so you'll feel what they're feeling and sort of enjoying it yourself, and you kind of know what sort of tracks to play next, and they'll just pop into your head. But yeah, it changes night by night really.
So do you still get nervous then when you go up?
Oh yeah, like there's still times where you might shake a bit, you might drop in a song, no one cheers, and you're expecting a cheer, you're like, oh shit, how'd it go down? But you kind of have to be a bit selfish in the fact that if you mess up or you play a track that hasn't gone well and it makes you a bit nervous, you go, cool, I'll just play something else. And then everyone will forget about it. So even if you mess up or you something's out of time or you accidentally press pause instead of play and it just stops the music and you press it again and it'll start again, you'll get that little bit where the crowd will go, oh, or that they might even boo to a certain extent and go, ooh, whatever. But it's temporary, like 5-10 minutes later, they're having a laugh, they're drinking, they don't care. Like as long as they're listening to music that they like. If you mess up once, twice that night, just don't be messing up every 5 minutes because then obviously they'll catch on. But yeah, it's getting over those nerves, and if you mess up, it's fine. Like every DJ has times where they might not, be on their best form, but it's about getting over that and sort of having the confidence to go, I'm good at what I do. If I mess up, it's cool. If I don't, even better. Like you need to have that mindset, and you can't go into it thinking, oh, what if I mess this up? What if I do this wrong? What if I this? Because if you start thinking like that, you're just going to make yourself more nervous, and then you're not going to play to how you want to play. So you kind of want to go into it, play to yourself. So you're playing what you're enjoying and what you're what you kind of planned for that night. But then you do need to, play to the crowd and be confident to play to that crowd. You can't be nervous about that. Otherwise your set's just going to feel really stale and really sort of like it will feel a bit like a Spotify playlist if you just,
let things play out.
Yeah, if you just let things play out. So,
have you ever been able to get one of your little remixes in, or?
Yeah, I do. I have made my own edits and I make my own sort of little mixes and stuff that I want to play out. So I've mixed, say, one thing that I usually do. I used to do every Sunday before COVID. Hopefully we'll get back. I can get back into the club soon. But there's a certain edit that I've done of loads of different tracks, and it's sort of like a build-up. So it's loads of samples of Snoop Dogg and 50 Cent and loads of different things mashed up with each other.
Yeah.
And usually you get to that point of the night where it's got busy, people are enjoying the music, and you're like, okay, this is where we turn up a notch. You'll play an edit that's like that to hype people up, and it's a bit more filled with energy, and they're hearing all these different tracks, and they're like, oh, I love this, I love this song, I love this song. So they're really good energy builders, edits like that with loads of different mashups of them. And I think it's really exciting and nice to play that to a crowd. And if they like it and it's your own edit, you're like, oh, I feel good about myself now. So yeah, definitely that it's fun. It's fun making edits.
So if COVID wasn't a thing, or with hopefully an end to COVID and the clubs are back up,
yeah,
is the DJing something you definitely want to sort of pursue further, or is it always going to be sort of alongside the videography and lyric videos and that sort of stuff?
I mean, if I got booked to play in Dubai, I'm not going to turn it down. But I think I don't want to jeopardise what I'm doing with the media for that, because my DJing is a hobby, and I always want it to be a hobby. I don't want it to be my way of financing myself, really. Because I really enjoy it, but I also do enjoy the production and media side of things, what I do. So I don't want to give one up for the other. So I always want to be able to do both at the same time. And because I am hopefully financially stable with my media work, I want that DJing to be a bit of a hobby, and if I make a bit of money with it, and I get my name out there a bit more, awesome. If it leads on to other things, I'm sure I can look at that in the future and take them on if I want to. But it's definitely still a hobby for me, and just something I want to enjoy away from my media stuff. Because it's not that it gets stale. You just don't want to. If you're doing the same thing 24 hours a day, you're going to burn yourself out, and you're going to get to a point where you're not enjoying what you're doing. So it's nice to go to work, enjoy my media work, and come home and do something a bit different to keep it fresh. Because if I went to work, shot a music video, or edited something or whatever, then came home and then edited another video for myself, and just, it's good to practice, but if you're doing that every day, for 12, 13 hours a day, you're going to burn yourself out, you're going to not enjoy it, you're going to start getting frustrated with editing, and you're just eventually going to go, right, I want to do something else now, which is not what I want to do, because I really enjoy what I do. So it's nice to have that bit of separation from, say, work and play. And I think DJing is that nice little thing that I can slot in when I've got spare time and sort of, teach myself, which is cool, yeah.
Yeah, so distract yourself from the work stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
What are the hours then? Because of course you can work from home. Do you do normal 9 to 5 here in the offices, or is it sort of and when there's different clients and different stuff to do?
So before COVID, I used to come in pretty much all the time when I'm free. It wasn't always set hours as such. It usually depended on how much work we've got to do and sort of what kind of work we've got coming in the days that we're coming into the office, essentially. Because the way I work is, it's nice to have set hours, so coming in from 9 till say 5 or 6, and doing that 5 days a week. But it gets to a point where you might say need longer than 9 to 5 in one day, and you might end up staying until 10, 11 o'clock, even later than that, into the early hours to finish a project. So then if I was to then commit then to 9 to 5 the following day, I might come in, be absolutely knackered, but then because I finished that project, I might not have as much work to do that day, and I'm sort of sat around, and, you know. So I kind of judge it on how much work I've got to do, but I always make sure that I'm free to do work. So if something comes in, I'm not like, oh, I'm booked for the day, I'm doing something else, it's not work related. I'll always make sure that during the week I have all that time free, so that I can then, if something comes in and I have the time to do it, I can do it. And I suppose this industry is quite flexible in the fact that, because I'm technically still a freelancer and self-employed, I do have the ability to choose when I work, choose my own hours, and choose basically how much I'm earning, really. The more work I do, the more money I get paid. I can take some time off and not do as much work, and basically turn away some jobs if I wanted to.
Yeah.
But then obviously I rely on that money to pay for my bills, my house, my gas, electric, everything that, you know, now that I've finished uni, adult life kicks in and you're like, oh, I've actually got to start paying for stuff now. So it's nice to have that flexibility, but you do need to ensure that you're keeping yourself free, and say, oh, just because I don't think I've got any work on, say Tuesday, I won't go, right, okay, Tuesday all day, I'm just going to go into town and chill with a few friends, and just take the day of work. I kind of look at it, cool, I can fill my Tuesday with doing other stuff, I can go into town and whatever, but then if the call comes in at midday saying, oh, can you do this for 5 o'clock, I can literally run home or run to the office and then, you know, and crack on with that in the afternoon. So I'm always going to have that time free. And I think a lot of people that are self-employed kind of fall into the habit of going, because I can choose my own hours, you know.
I'll relax a
little bit more. And it is good to relax, but always make sure that if the call comes in, you've got to deliver. And I think that's definitely the most important part of it.
So how many people are working in the office then with you?
So there's Dummy, who's my boss, owns Firmative. So he's like the creative director.
Yeah.
He manages all the shoot days and all the projects come in, speaks to all the clients, sorts out all the budgets, all that sort of thing. I'm head of creative, so I'm essentially in charge of anything creative that comes in. Usually I'm working on it. We've also just employed someone called Dan, who's got the same name as me, so it's really complicated. But I sort of manage his projects on Dummy and give him other stuff to do when me and Dummy are busy. And sort of we're trying to train him up to essentially take on a lot of the projects that I would usually take on, so I can take more of a producer role and sort of work behind the scenes, not as much editing all the projects that come in as much anymore. I'll still be editing and still be working on certain things, but I want to kind of be able to go, okay, we've got a lot of work on, here's another person that can help us with the workload and hopefully grow them to be an awesome creator too. So at the moment it's kind of just me and Dummy. Dan's based in Cleethorpes, but he's thinking of coming to Lincoln eventually, so he's not too far. He comes down on the train every now and again for meetings in the office and stuff. Me personally, since COVID's happened, I've kind of started working from home a lot more. And I only really come into the office when I need to. And it's nice working from home because you sort of get that freedom, so that as long as I'm at my house, if the call comes in, I can just run to the office in my house and go, cool, I'm going to work on this. Whereas if I'm coming to the office here, I kind of have to I can't really leave, because then if I leave, coming back to the office to my work, it takes up more time. So it is nice working from home at the moment.
Do you have your own office, like in your home? Or
Yeah.
is it just like your bedroom?
Yeah, so I've recently moved house since I left uni, and I've sort of built my own little office studio in like the spare room in my house, which is, and it's nice to separate both your personal and your workspace. So I think a lot of the time when I was at uni, everything was just out of my bedroom in the student flat or my student house. Like I'd have my desk in there, I'd have my TV in there, my bed in there. So I'd literally eat, sleep, work, everything, DJ, everything in that one room. Whereas now I've got like, you know, my own living room, my bedroom and my office. So like I can chill in my living room when I've not got work, I can go to sleep in my bedroom, and then eat in the dining room and work in my office. It's nice to separate that, because you sort of get to a point where if you're doing everything from one room, you just end up losing track of time. You just get distracted a lot more. So if I go into my office in my house I'm there to either do work or play on my Xbox, whatever's in that room.
Yeah.
I'm there for a specific reason. And if I'm in my bedroom, I'm there to go to sleep or to just chill out and listen to music or whatnot. So it's nice having that bit of separation now, I think.
I did that because everything was always in sort of my room and in my space. So it was literally I woke up and there's all the equipment and there's all the bed and stuff. When I moved all that into then the spare room, I then had all the lights and the kit. It then completely took us away from that world. So then when I left, I closed the door and that's it. Whatever projects I had with people, they were done. And now it's literally just sitting in the house and watching Netflix or something.
Yeah.
So it's all, I think it's massively important, and a lot of people who still work from home, I can see still have that issue where they can't switch off and they don't know where that sort of boundary is. So I think a separate room is a good idea.
Yeah.
So if it's just then the three of us, who's working in, does that mean you only really have one project at a time, or do you find yourself juggling different projects?
So, I mean, with Firmative, because it is an agency, we do work with, there's us three that are in-house, but then we also do work with a lot of other freelancers up and down the country. So, we work with a guy called Tito, he's originally from Newcastle, moved to Lincoln, so he's near close to us. He does a lot of our videography stuff, and he also has his own production company. And then we've got guys in London that do photography and behind the scenes and stuff for us. So like, if there's any London jobs that we can't make it to, we usually give the work to them. So we do have a lot of projects on, and it's definitely getting a lot busier now. If you'd have asked me 6 months ago, a year ago, are you comfortable doing with the amount of work that you're doing now, I'd have said yes. But now we're doing probably double the amount of work as what we were doing 6 months ago, all at the same time. So we do have to juggle a lot of projects, but now that we do have like more people that can work with us and for us, we can manage those projects, and it's nice to sort of jump between a couple of different ones, because you come back, if you're working on 2 projects at the same time, it's nice to jump between them 2 a little bit, so that when you come back to one, you have a bit of a fresh head and you can come up with new ideas. Whereas if you just have one project for the whole, for say like 2 weeks to work on, you can sometimes get a bit burnt out by that same thing. So it's nice to have lots of little different things to work on at the same time. As long as you can meet your deadlines, like if you can juggle them, yes.
Do you not feel sometimes if you're working on 2 at the same time, they start looking almost identical? Or are you able to sort of separate them enough?
It's happened a few times where your creative mind will sort of cross over a bit, but I've never really thought about that actually. You do sometimes get it, and you do sort of, like there's been odd times where they'll go, oh, this looks a little bit like the other project that we did. And it's like, oh, actually, yeah, I get what you mean, let's change that up. That's often the odd time, but I think because you're working with so many different artists and different sort of genres of music, it's quite easy to separate the 2. So like one minute you might be working on say like a house pop song, and then the next minute you might be working on a hip hop song. But if you're doing those at the same time, both of those styles of music have very different styles of editing and styles of sort of artwork and graphic design. So it's quite easy to separate the 2. So it depends on the project really. Sometimes it can be a bonus because you might do something really cool in one project and go, oh, I can use that one in that one as well. And because it is all the same industry, if both projects are for music artists and say they're 2 different videos but they have the same goal, there is going to be that little bit of crossover. But it's not necessarily a bad thing. If your video does the job and it fits the purpose of what the client's looking for, then that's,
So if you're allowed to, I'm not sure if you're allowed to, what project currently are you working on, if you're allowed to say?
So, we just pretty much almost wrapped up on the Nathan KSI content. So that was for their track Lighter. So if I go through, we did the album artwork, behind the scenes for the official video we did the production for the acoustic video that's on KSI's channel. And then I've done loads of social adverts and all sorts of different social media assets that they can use to promote the tracks and stuff. And then they've had remixes come out, so we've done edits for those. So that project's kind of wrapped up pretty much now, get to the end of that. And then what we're working on at the moment is probably one of our most biggest projects is Ella Henderson's new track. So she's releasing a new track this Friday called Dream on Me. So Firmative got commissioned to basically create a lyric video, but it's also a bit of a music video. So it's footage of Ella performing and that sort of thing, with lyrics. So that video is going to be coming out soon. That's a really fun project. It's going to be tough because I've got to edit that for tomorrow, so still a lot of work to do when we finish this. But yeah, I think that's when that's finished. I think that's going to be one of the proudest things we've done so far. And yeah, there's a couple of other things, but I can't say much. Not yet, anyway.
So then, with that being your biggest one, what is then your dream to go? Like, how far do you want to take this, or who do you want to be able to work with in the future whenever it is possible?
Yeah, so I mean, we'd love, say, in the near future to then get commissioned for like a full big music video production. That'd be awesome. Like, we've got the contacts to do it, we've got like the people and the skills to do that. But the issue with the music industry is it's difficult to get that break in the fact that you might have lots of clients that you work with and they trust you, but for certain big projects like that, because their budgets are so high, by taking on a production company that's not done as much big stuff like that before, it's a big risk for big labels and big companies to then just go, okay, cool, here's a 50 grand music video budget, we're going to trust you guys with it. It's very difficult for them to take that risk, so they'll usually go to big directors and big companies that have loads under their belt, but it only takes that one opportunity to then go, okay, smash this, then if you smash that, it should hopefully lead on to more work. So it's about getting those opportunities, and that's what we're kind of aiming to work towards. Like, we want to be able to have these big budgets so that when we go on shoot, we can be as creative as we want. We have the budget to create something awesome rather than sort of being limited to like a smaller budget. But yeah, I think the aim for us in the next year or so is to have the opportunity to do these big shoots and sort of and work with some really awesome, cool people.
Would you say the sort of, I imagine people need to take baby steps to try and get that break. Would you probably then just try and get yourself in, work alongside the rest of them, or take over small projects with these people, or is it just whatever you can sort of get?
Sort of whatever we can get, but not in like a negative sense. It's sort of like, because we enjoy so much what we do, any project that's music and creative related we'll always say yes to. We're always wanting to do more stuff. And that's not necessarily to say once we get a big budget project we're never going to do any small ones anymore. It's sort of like, it's a nice balance. We want to be able to do all sorts of different things. We want to be able to do small budget productions, we want to do big ones, we want to do little mini edits, like little social media posts, but then we could also do like a whole promotional campaign for a track. Like, we want to be able to mix and match what we do, and do all sorts of different things, and not just stick to sort of like one area of sort of that industry. Because we want to experiment, we want to try new things, and I think that's our biggest thing this year is we're trying to be experimental and try new things to try and get our name out there and try and become something that's huge eventually.
That's brilliant. I wish you the very best of luck for that. I think it's a very good point to wrap it up. Is there anything you'd want to say that you feel you haven't been able to say, or anything you want people who are listening or watching to know?
Just if you're in the music industry, if you're in the media industry, we're called Firmative. You can look up on our website, our Instagram. We work with all sorts of clients. We worked with Warner Music, Sony, Spotify, some pretty big clients that we're quite proud of. And yeah, just follow our journey and hopefully you're interested in working with us. We're interested in working with you too.
Brilliant. I'll leave all of these links in the descriptions or around the screen or wherever they are. Please go check them out and get in contact with him if you can. and thanks very much for coming on.
Nice one.
And see you in a little bit.
Hey yo, Danny K, rewind that fam.